Just can, yeah, 100% compounding interest of those efforts that no one ever saw. You thought, oh, am I wasting my time? But now, when you're in a space, you provide that value. They talk about you without you being there, and all of a sudden, hey Jeff, we've heard great things about your program. How do we sign a 5-year contract? That was the email yesterday, and I was like, yeah, like I didn't even say, here's what we do. They've just heard from that organization. They've heard the outcomes. We want to
You
plug it
build
into
a
the process.
brand, you're building a
And
brand,
that's
right?
like Tony Robbins, no doubt. He would have done the same thing. There was times where he was speaking in front of one, three, five people. And now he goes out and here's what the investment is, and here's how many people show up to that investment. You've just got to understand the compounding interest of your efforts, and you've got to be willing to do it when no one else is looking, and you've got to show up day
That's
after
the
day
secret, mate.
with nothing. You done everything yesterday and you got $0. You done everything yesterday and you didn't feel great. You did everything yesterday and you're away from the family. Even that business, my mate's got in affiliate marketing as an example. He did it for 7 years to get to that point. And people go to him, it's a scam, bro. And I'm like, the biggest scam you're saying would be the 9 to 5 job being away from your kids. He's actually with his kids after 7 years. If I could guarantee you 7.5 grand passive after 7 years for life, not just for 1 week, for
That's
life.
amazing. I think everyone needs to learn this.
So I was like, hey, bro. Firstly, the quality of life side of things. Secondly, for me, I was always going to buy one anyway. All the world's best leaders take it, athletes take. So I was like, I'm buying it for that reason. Like for me, quality of life. And now that you've got the business opportunity, I think that's great. And his next level was 4K per month passive. And I was with him. I'll tell you, it was an insane story. I get a $1,200 check. And I said, oh, look, I got a $1,200 check while I was sitting here. He goes, how good's that? Bang, we knuckle each other. He goes, mate, imagine I'd been doing it for 5 months. He goes, imagine in 5 years. And I was like, wow. He goes, imagine in 10 years. I was like, wow. And he goes, I got 48 of those this morning. He shows me, and I'm like, wow. In my head, I'm doing the maths. I'm like, imagine he got 48 of 1,000, right? And then he said, I actually got 8 new ones now. Do you want to open them together? He opens them up and shows me in real time because he's the mentor I went with. And it was 8 to 10 grand. I did the maths on it. He just got paid 8 to 10 grand. He's in Sydney. He lives in Melbourne. He's with his partner in a beautiful hotel. They're loving life. They're about to go out and do some things in whatever they want, when they want, with who they want, as much as they want. That's my saying. They're doing that. They're living that life. And people will drop into his inbox telling him it's a scam. And after 7 years, he's got to that position. That's the dissonance of how we're built as human beings. And I just mean that you've got to do due diligence on the whole process and go, if I go all in, could I be that person? And some people aren't built like that. They're not built to go all in on themselves. How could I build myself to go all in on the life I want? Small business, big business, whatever it is for you, get out of the dissonance that goes on in this place up here and the different types of
Yeah,
dissonance. Look up that word and you'll start to build yourself better, because you start to say, what my parents taught me, they had great love, but they weren't business people.
I
So
didn't know
therefore,
anything
I need
else.
to, I'm listening to JT, I'm listening to Tony Robbins, I'm listening to Mel Robbins, whoever it is that you choose to go with, and get out of your own way and watch what happens in life. I guarantee you, 7 years, this kid, he was locked up himself, and he's turned that life around. He's a great provider for his family, and he's done it his way. Could you be that person? Maybe. I don't know. But you won't know until you try it and get out of your own way. That's the biggest thing.
Are you willing to do what it takes and do the work to have that 7,000 a month passive income? I think anyone would thrive on saying, hey, yeah, I'd love 7,000 passive income. I might still love my job, but are you willing? You're gonna to have some short-term extra work, some short-term negotiations with not having to buy everything at a whim at a short term to get that long term game. And it's about that mindset of, but you've got to break down, some people call them mind viruses. You've got to get into this subconscious, because a lot of people don't even realize what is actually in their DNA, what is in their computer, like memory.
I love that.
They
What's the
don't get
bug?
it.
What's the bug in your system? And what's
What's
that
your
virus
bug?
you
Yeah,
spoke
they have
about?
this bug. And it's from when you were 4, it's from when you were 6, it's from when you were 14, it's from when you were 18. And now you're in your 30s, your 40s, you're in your
Love this.
20s, whatever you are, and you don't actually realize that you've got an 8-year-old running your life and making your decisions.
you weren't good enough. And
Yeah.
go and watch Better Man for every. Like, I can't recommend that. It was so well done, that movie.
I'm gonna. I've written that down. I'm
Honestly,
gonna.
take I don't know if you got your married husband, partner, whatever, girlfriend, take him and see it. It
Is
is,
that the cinemas?
yeah, it's at the cinemas now,
Okay.
and I guarantee you're gonna sit there and go, wow, like
Yeah.
it could teach any human being so much, but your filters will be totally different to the next person's filters. But in amongst it, they've got you on this wave of emotion in the movie, and it will hit any person that goes and watches that. And I know that I was dancing at one stage, I was crying at one stage, and I don't cry much, right? Like the old man thing, don't to let that go. As men, why can't we let go of our emotions? Do we have to be built up and be, yeah, you know what? I'll be strong in the right situations, but in a movie that tells a story, it shows that I am connected to my emotions and I am able to say, all right, emotionally, do I want this in my life? No, hey, let's have a respectful, effective conversation. Or do I have to stand up in this moment and be the warrior and be the lion? If I need to do that, can I do that? Now, that movie, tell me I'm wrong. You go watch it.
I'm gonna go
Hit me
watch it,
with a
and
message.
I'll send you a message and just go.
And
Yeah,
you say that was
100%. You're spot on.
unbelievable. But it teaches you human behavior, and it teaches you that sometimes what happens to you happen for you. But what will happen to you sometimes stays happening to you for life in this invisible backpack of life. And what that means is what you carry, it dictates your behaviors. And we don't understand that because it's built as a feeling and they erupt into behaviors that come out of you because of, I'm not good enough. Well, let me show you that I'm good enough. F you, and who do you think you are? And like, we end up in this position where we become a version of ourselves we don't like being. And it's almost like being on drugs, where you see the person on drugs, they're not the same human as they were before the drugs. After it, they got these superpowers to tell the world to go and get effed. So once you're in that position, now you can be in a strong position to say, as you said, we're unconscious of the behaviors, the feelings. If you even write out the feelings, emotions, behaviors attached to those things, those three things, in that moment you go, I don't want that shit in my life. Actually, is that how I behave? If someone recorded you doing that, right? You see partners that talk to each other on phones. A person jumped in our car from a conference the other day and they started screaming at each other in the phone. I pulled the car over and I said, let's pause for a moment. That's not going to happen in my car. My partner's in the back. I've given you a lift respectively, and you two are talking to it. That's not going to happen in this space. You got two options right here, right now. And it was a long distance. We're in the Pilbara. I said, you got a choice to walk to the next town, or you got a choice to talk to each other respectfully, or hang the phone up and I'll have a conversation with you. And he said, oh, I've got to hang the phone up. I'll chat to you later. Love you. And hung the phone up. I said, and then we just had a conversation. I just don't appreciate you being having that type of conversation. My partner feels uneasy. I felt uneasy. That doesn't happen in my car ever again, or in my presence. And now that's a person that's built strong. How do you make sure that those behaviors, he was probably unconscious because that's how he's taught. Maybe his parents did it as kids and he thinks that's normal behavior.
And that's their daily
That's not
interaction
right.
of just.
And that's carried from, as you said, from 8 years old into 48 years old. Doesn't happen in this space. And he's got a choice now to change his behavior. What would you do in that situation? And I'd say, firstly, I'd talk at this level. Is it a who can talk louder conversation? No. Is that the competition that you're having? Could you tell me? And he goes, no. So I'm asking these questions. Well, why did you get to that position? Do you feel, oh, my parents were that? All right, so did you like your parents' behaviour? No. Did you feel safe in that environment? No. So I'd take him through that question, and he had this light bulb moment and said, well, I'm just a reflection of my parents. I said, no. And I said, yeah, exactly. That's who
But
you
you can
are.
change it.
Do you like being that person? No, I don't. What would be your first way out of that? I don't know. Would you like the solution to that problem? Yes, I would. And now you've taken them through the process where you're not saying, I'm better than you and you shouldn't be like me. You're saying, do you like being that person?
Getting them to accept.
So that they can make the decision and choice. And now you're able to shift and change the behaviour of that environment, whether it's a sporting team, a business space. We're able to get that outcome because we get them to see it through their own lens of how they're built and how it's not truly serving that environment. But you got to bring the unconscious to conscious. And
Yes.
I always say to people, how long have you been thinking about something? How long hasn't it happened for? If you're 30 years of age, what will happen in the next 30 years? If you want a solution to that problem or that conversation, even change the word problems because that's a negative. Would you like a solution to that conversation? Yes, I would. Christine or I could provide that. Would you like it? Yes, I would. Now we'll go into that conversation. And if not, I wish you all the very best and I'll clap you along that journey as well.
Oh, so that's beautiful because it's so important, the human behavior. You seem to have such a good connection on how to get people to come on a journey and to actually see it, and then they're accepting it and they're actually asking you rather than, because no one likes to be told, just like no one likes to be sold, but everyone likes to buy. So it's like you getting them to go, well, is that behavior acceptable? That all you do, I feel like when you open the blinkers up and you're giving them that self-awareness, like a self-awareness of in any problem. I like to often say, especially in conflict, and I do it in the work a lot with some other people where I'm like, when you did this, there's the one action. Not I just never say anyway, always, or everybody. I always pull up people pull that. I felt this. Not emotional though. This is just I felt angry. I felt disrespected, but not don't get all fluffy. And then this will be the consequence. And not a threat. I'm not talking about coercion. I'm talking about you're going to make me disengage. You're not going to get the most out of me at work. And those conversations are quite nerve wracking. And to have with your partner, when you said this, I felt really intimidated. And I'm worried that if you keep doing that, I'm going to withdraw or I'm not going to feel safe in this environment anymore. Now, that's a hard conversation. That's a hard conversation to have, especially depending on your environment, but you've got to start somewhere.
It's harder to stay in that. It's harder to not have that conversation and end up screaming at each other, hating each other, and maybe if you've got kids with each other, then being in a household that you don't want to be in and come back where you feel unsafe every single day. So it's better. People say, oh, that's hard business. And I'm like, well, you got a choice. You can choose to go to work for somebody for
Choose your
70
hard.
years, retire, and pay your house off, maybe, in this day and age, maybe pay your house off by the end of your life. And then maybe retire on some money and travel the world wrinkly, or you've got a choice of being,
The world wrinkly, I
give
like
you
that.
a context to my mate. He made 76K in 3 days last week that he posted. He posted all he has got a 30, 5K, 26K, and 16K day, right? I'm pretty sure that's the 76K.
Wow.
Because I still remember, I was like, that's unbelievable. 6K in 3 days. Most people say that's bullshit, mate. He's full of. You come with me and I'll take you to him and he'll show you the emails and it's just reality. That's what he's
Yeah,
at after
people can
7 years.
do it, and people can do it. If we take you back on your friend there, and I don't know him at all, but let's say 10 or 15 years ago, he'd be saying the same thing to you. Like that's
Absolutely.
not possible. Do you know?
If I was that person, said I can make you 76K in 3 days, he'd be like, Morgs is trying to scam me. He'd probably go and tell his partner, his mates, I don't do Morgs' stuff. 76K full of shit, right? And the reality was, I sat with him and I've seen that happen. I've seen the life he's created, and you've just got to. And this is going back to that conversation, the scam of life. I call it the scam of life. But what I mean, 9 to 5 for 7 years or 7 years, you could retire. Which one would you choose, right? And I'm just talking about him. I'm not even talking about my business. I could help you scale your business within 5 years and do something that would create financial freedom for anybody. But most people say that's bullshit, mate. It's well, what we go back to is the vision of our parents. Our parents didn't even have the internet. Our parents didn't have the opportunity of AI to build your business over a weekend. I paid 7 grand and 5 grand for my terms and condition and privacy policy way back when, and now you can ask ChatGPT and it'll spit it out in 30 seconds for free. So we've got we've got the skills to be able to create real time and speed faster than any human being before in our life, but we'll tell people that it's not possible. And I'm like, everything's possible right here, right now. You don't believe so? Go to Dubai. 50 years ago, it was just all sand. Mate, if you haven't been to Dubai, I don't know if you've been to
Yeah,
Dubai.
yeah, I've been
It
to
is
Dubai. It blows your
unbelievable.
mind, doesn't it? It's just I love it. I love the technology. I love the innovation. How just where technology can take people and business. And I love where you segued there because I was introducing AI into a very large company and even selling some of the and the old school thinking is what are people gonna do with their time? Like, would you rather them work on low value rubbish that they don't need to anymore because AI is taking off. But AI could do that and you get them in higher value. Changing the mindset of these people is a job in itself.
Even then, could you hire that person or somebody else around something maybe that they could contribute to in a space, like human connection? So
Yes, well, that's not going
we'll
away.
build it with AI, but what we'll do when we go into the conversation is we'll meet in person, and
Mm.
then the outcomes will be driven by the AI or whatever it may be. And it's increase our profit margin. Say we presented that, even if we came and say we could increase your profit margin by 56% on the average of what we've done with companies with AI. And what we do is we get the workforce to go in and human connection, and what you used to pay them, they go on flights and connecting with your clients and going checking in, how can we help you, how can we service you better, that sort of conversation, like human connection, right? And they're like, wow, they send people out to actually check on us and see that we're okay, and how can we help you on an emotional intelligence level, right? Maybe you're building that into the human to understand AI is controlling this part, but what we can do is make sure we're not stressed. We're living less stress within our life, more happiness, more directional, more intentional, the life we truly want, those sorts of things. So use the money that now you got 56% more profit. Get that person to fly on business class. Who wouldn't like to say, hey, Christina, you're working for me. AI's doing it. We've got 56% increase in our profits. What I'm going to do is send you to Dubai, business class flights with Emirates, beautiful airline, and
Yes,
you're going to
please.
stay up at the Atlantis, the Royal, and we're still, after all our outgoings this year, we're still up by 36% profit on the profits that we
Yeah.
already had. No brainer.
I'm happier. I'm working 10
Dissonance.
times harder for you now. I'm loyal to you for life. You've got my IP
Absolutely.
forever. Do you know what I mean? I now drive in
Crazy.
your profits more because of the culture. And it's just amazing. I'm going to use that. I loved where you just went because I am trying to drive a business value case at the moment on something
Love it.
else. And I loved to really try and emphasize that let the AI, but where your productivity will now increase is the human element. You're going to create
Love
the
that.
culture. It's hard. It's hard though when they're looking at the bottom line all the time.
Look at what you look at what you just said. You work 10 times harder, and the problem, the old school way of thinking would be, I don't know what Christina's doing in Dubai. She's probably laying up by the pool. Well, I hope so. After she's had a
Hit
morning
my
meet with
metrics.
them, took her out, sat down, have conversations, had food together, build a relationship.
Relationship capital.
I'll catch up with you at 4 p.m. again. Let's go get some sun. Or do what you got to do now, and I'll catch back. And you go and get. I hope you're getting sun so that you
Yes.
recharge yourself and you're loving life the way that you should be. And guess what? I will pay you to do that because now I know when you go back to that meeting in the afternoon, you feel
On.
absolutely frigging amazing. And you
Yes.
say, hey, we're going to have a dinner. We'll catch up for dinner and we'll talk over dinner and build another great relationship. And hey, let me introduce you, Bob, who's going to also, he's heard about what you do for our business, and he'd like his business, and now Bob's business goes 56% forward in profits. Well, what a great way of life. Christina, were you? I seen you post photos down by the pool at
You weren't
Atlantis.
sitting at your desk.
But wait a second. In their profits, because of the way I operated, they actually went up 66%, and Bob's business has gone up 72%. Yeah, but I still seen that photo by the pool, and I'm like, all you want to hear, and people got to understand, when you only want to hear your filters of life, we respond to people based on our values. Understand what I just said. This is very important for people. We'll respond to people based on our values. So once it's not in our values, all you're waiting to do is respond to you. Hey, you didn't fit into me. And once you do that, you're not doing it for the best interest of the environment. I see the photo and I say, how good, for me, how good, I love seeing Christina love life. And if you had your family there and you by the pool and shooting moments of playing pool volleyball, whatever it is, but I know that they got a 68% and you beat what we got and 72%, well, that's now I know how Christina operates. I'm going to make sure that she's always with a next to a theme park. When she goes to America, put her next to a theme park so her family can be there and she can play that volleyball with her family and feel great and get the sun, so that in between her meetings she feels that this is what life's about. And
I think you're nailing it there with the whole, which comes back to me on, I'm big on anything if anyone sees on people and data. So what you're nailing, which is really hard for a lot of CEOs, executives, is that the KPI and the metric side. So I'm hitting the 68%. I've got our clients at the 72%. how I get you there, ethically, morally, kindly, all that, how I get you there, if I am brilliant enough to do it in the meetings, the conversations, the relational capital, and still get my 3 hours in the sun and enjoying it and flying business class, that's where people they hone in on that and get hung up, or you should be sitting at a desk. But if you hit the right metrics with any of your people and you go, here's what the company needs to go to, you've got that bigger intention and vision. How I get there with the breaks, it's you want your people happier and everything like that. And that's
Crazy.
you've nailed it. You nailed it.
Some of these companies are on billions in profits, millions, like towards the billion mark in
Yeah.
profits. What if you gave up, like for me, and it's something I've done in my business, say it was $1 million, and I give up half of that. People are like, you're giving up $500,000 every time for your staff. You could make 800,000. You don't have to do that. You could make 900,000 and pay 100,000 in your outgoings to your staff at $22 or $15, whatever it is, right? Why would I do that? I want my staff to love Do you reckon your staff, paying them at that level, come to work and say, I'm motivated to get Jeff? You might get one, right, that just loves life and loves doing work. Will you get your whole workforce on that same vision? They'll do what they bare minimum. You start at 9, they'll show up at 9:05. Finish at 5, they'll leave at
They're
5:25.
watching from 4:30. It's 30 minutes to go. It's 20 minutes to go. Yeah.
100%
Clocking
hate
down.
being in the traffic.
Yeah.
Then they come in and, I'm looking at Facebook now. Here comes Jeff.
Yeah, phone, yeah,
Like
screens up. No,
half
see,
a
back to
million.
culture, revenue. You want people coming in, not waking up and hating that they have to go to work, wishing their day away before it started. Breaks my heart. And then if you, like you say, if they are in there motivated, happy, loving the culture, they are working harder for you. They are making you money. You are working less. Hopefully they're like, if you're working and enjoying what you're doing, you don't feel like you're working, everyone's happy.
Let me explain it even deeper. Say I did a 900,000 to 100,000 model, right? I split that model 50-50 now. And people are like, you're crazy. But what happens is my business goes tenfold. So now I'm making 10 million, and my profit, if like I did the 9, because when I say the 10 million, I did it the 50-50 way. I could take half of that and give them half. Now I'm on 5 million, and they're on 5 million, and they're happy and I'm happy. I went well past my 900,000. I've got 5 million in the bank. I've got happy staff. I've got less spot fires. I've created systems that make everybody happy and work together. Do you want to put music on every single day in your own cubicle? You want it cubicle, or do you want it as a group space? We're never going to be happy on the music, so therefore I'm going to choose music that relaxes us if we are going to put music in the space. And I'm going to create an environment that allows us, even for us this year, it's something we've spoken about, a brick and mortar, and it'd be more about like, games rooms. I'd put a gym in there. I'd put a recovery center, and I'd say your work now is towards gym. An hour's towards this. Go and play games for half an hour, like table tennis, pool. Like, be social. That's cool. I'll pay you for that, because do you reckon that they won't perform in the 2 hours that they're in there? What people, as you said, do is they come in and they do half hour of solid work. The rest is all fluff. And
Yeah. Yeah, they're having their coffees, they're off talking, and they're watching the clock, and they're not about the metrics. But if you set your solid metrics, which obviously you do really well, your team has trust, you have trust for them. And I assume, like anything, like let's not get us wrong, if you take the piss and you hang yourself with the rope you're giving, you're gone, right? And that is the key too. I'll give you rope. You want to turn up, rock up, but you've got to turn up to these meetings, you've got to be professional, whatever. And here's your targets. If you miss them because you're too busy playing ping pong and sitting in the sauna, you don't get a second chance. Like you know.
And I'd even put it to here's our targets, and here's what we've got coming. What do you feel would be the great
How are we going to do it?
solution to this problem as a unit? Let's implement it. What's our time frame on it as a group? 1 week, all right. At the end of this week, Mary, I'll see your reports. I'll see your suggestions. I'll see your development, or whatever it is that we do, and then go and do what you want. Remember, you need to do an hour a day in the gym. You need to do what are our non-negotiables around health, wealth, inner peace, success, quality of life, etc., etc. These pillars, right? Financials. I want everybody in this group to do half an hour around how you can make your finances work. What you will invest in a course that you want to do. Is it with Dan Penner? Is it with JT Fox? Is it with Tony Robbins? Is it with whoever it is? We'll invest in that. Half an hour of your day, we want you to go and sit and develop that so that you know how to use the money that you're making here to actually then create streams of income for you. Imagine the workplace. You reckon that that person, and same, there's non-negotiables. If we're not hitting these targets on a regular basis over a month, we'll let you go. And that means that you'll perform for yourself. And is this a space or is the role for you? If not, do you feel that you'd be better in admin? And
Yes.
that's something
Do
we've
you
got.
need your checklist? Do you need to be microed a bit more? There's people who like the freedom, and there's people and need the autonomy, and there's people who need to be. Here's your next task. Here's your, and that goes with the stacking of the layers of the people you bring into the organization.
Absolutely. But
But
no
I love
definition on that, no non-negotiables on that. Create a grey area, and everyone, as you know, will ride that grey area to the moon, until the cows come home. So do
100%.
yourselves a favour, have those non-negotiables, but create it as units so that, and we're clear on here's what my vision is for this organisation at C-suite, and then through the leadership, and then into, because, and I mean that nicely, those that come into the organisation at bottom level, a lot of the times the problem is what's the can we get a toast in the lunchroom? They're not thinking about the vision of the organisation, but how can we get them to be better performers and do it in a way where it's better for their lives, and they say, wow, I actually feel I want more out of this organisation. I do want to be in the leadership team. I do want to move to C-suite. I do want to, maybe even be the CEO of this company at some point in time because I'm actually passionate about what we're doing. And that's a different journey, and giving those people the opportunities. And sometimes I've had to say, I feel that you're at a level that you could go out and do your own thing, and I'd support you creating that. Would you like to do that? And they're like, but I love working for you. And so you could still, if you feel that you'd love to work for us, that's still great. And I think you're of high value, but I think you're of a higher value to yourself and life. And you could do, this is what I'd suggest. What are your thoughts around? And they're like, I'd love to. I've always wanted to do that, but I'm scared or nervous. Are you scared or nervous, or could you be excited about the opportunity? I'd be excited, and then we shift and change, and we get that person to step away, and they're like, "Mate, I'm forever grateful because you made me realize I could do
Wow.
more." And I'm like, I could have kept you there, but
That's transformational.
yeah, yeah, be that transformational person for your own life, and then you understand that I just need to do things I'm not currently doing. Surrender to that conversation, as we've said. We won't always be the smartest person in the room, and that's
Oh
cool.
gosh, no. You don't want to be.
If you're in that room and you're in that room every day and you're that smartest person, my advice is whether you're signing up for conferences, events, free networking opportunities, sitting with people in those spaces, do yourself a favor, keep learning and growing. And that's the greatest thing we could ever do. Build ourselves into the best human being we can be for our own lives, and you'll end up providing what I call VB to a conversation, and that means the value and benefit. VB is a drink here in Australia for those that don't know. I get people to remember VB, you mean the drink? And I'm like, no, not the drink, value and benefit. You might feel that brings you value and benefit in that environment later on, a bit of Dutch courage, but in general, that value and benefit to any room, and watch what happens. People will hire you, they'll want to be around you, you'll feel that you're in the right spaces, and you'll feel that love, kindness, empathy, and respect. You'll feel valued, you'll feel that you can contribute, you feel that you're actually doing the path of the greatest thing in life. I call it your A to B of life. And that dash in between your life, that's when you are born and when you die. It's either going to be filled with regret or it's going to be filled with life, and you get to choose that.
Oh, Jeff, I love this. I love this. I think we could talk for hours and hours and hours, actually.
Easy.
It's easy. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll probably have to have phase two, three, or four, because I know you're a
Love
busy,
that.
busy man. So, but there's so many avenues I want to go down with where you just went. But on what you just said, then, because you're a true testament to the power of the mind, the ability that anyone can transform their life. And you've just got to make those 1% little commitments and disciplines. But where I did want to go back to, and I think you pretty much do it, but when it comes to you're in your rocking chair, Jeff, and you're rocking back in thought, what is it, the core memories or experiences that you want to look back on and that you have learnt your lessons from? And what's the legacy you are wanting to leave?
Yeah, it's It's really simple. Like, do what you want, when you want, with who you want, as much as you want. And I'll be rocking like this, and I'll be just sitting there. And then to do that, every lesson has to be a blessing. Because if it isn't, then what is it? It's a stress. Like, oh, what happened to me? You don't know what happened to me. The abuse. I was abused. I was X, Y, and Z, just like yourself. All of the above. Some of the stuff I told you was so graphic that people be like, what? And whether it was the jail stuff and people not leaving jail, I'll just put it on that level of conversation, through to waking up next to a person who's been stabbed many times to death, and as a young kid. So I could tell you 100 stories, and I can tell you why I shouldn't be where I am today. But I've got a series on YouTube I've just brought out, If I Can, You Can, and that means that I genuinely mean that. What you focus on, as you said, your energy goes in one direction. Vibration, frequency, energy. It is real. Don't believe me? Have a man, if you're a female, come and stand right behind you that you don't know, like right in your space, and you're going to go, who the heck's this, right? So what energy are you feeding yourself? How can you flip that? And that comes back to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, as much as you want. What are the actions I need to take to cause the reactions I want within my life? And that sometimes means you've got to let go of people, environments that you feel comfortable in. As much as it's chaos, growing up in one of Australia's most notorious streets, I felt safe in that environment. But you, as Christina, you come to Everleigh Street, Redfern in the day, you just would not walk through there, right? And then people now are like, I walked through there back then, it wasn't a problem. Bullshit, you did. It just didn't happen. I guarantee you. The police didn't come through there. You didn't come through there. Now, when people understand that, I used to tell myself it was okay. I'd do jail standing on my head. That was all the dissonance. That was all the things that I told myself, the perception of my reality versus true reality. So go back to the rocking chair moment and say, at the end of your life, when you're rocking on that chair, what would your highlights reel look like? What does the movie of your life, if we press play on it, let's have a look at Christina's life. Oh, you went into work that day. Oh, that was cool. What happened next day? Oh, you did the same thing. 75 years later, you're still doing the same thing. Was that life you truly want? If you died today, I took you up to heaven and I pressed play on the dream life of what you envisioned, and we press play on that, and you go, wow, I jumped out of an airplane, drove with sharks, drove this, done that, travelled to there, married that person, had kids.
And even, could I say, even I tried this and it didn't work, rather than a what if, I wonder if I was going to be the best next Taylor Swift. Oh no, it turns out I can't sing. But what if? Sorry, take that away.
Tried and it didn't work. I wouldn't even say that. What was the lesson that became blessing? Because as soon as I say tried and it didn't work, I'm going to say I wasn't good enough. Or if I'm not built well, I won't take that well. Whereas if I say what was the lesson that became
I learned that I love crowds. I learned that I actually hate crowds, and it took me in this direction. So that's how I pivoted.
And you weren't Taylor Swift, but what you did do is say, I'm great in crowds and I can have those conversations. And now I can be maybe somebody that's a public speaker, or maybe I can go and be the person at a big conference to talk to, network to people for the organisation. I'm of what value and benefit to this thing. My pay scale goes from 100 grand to 500 grand, or the CEO or something of that nature. And that creates a different way of life. But until you do that, you're never going to know. You're going to say, and as I said, if I press play on that life and you're driving this car, you're traveling there, or whatever it is that you want, I don't know what it is. You got more peace of mind, you got less stress in your life, and you go, wow, that was a great life. I dreamt a lot of that. And I say, I know, because I'm your God, right? I'm your deity. And I say, I know, because I saw your visions. I'm playing that so you see what that life would have looked like. And you're like, oh man, I wish I'd done that. Say, hey, Christina, if I send you back now, and I reverse your age, I'll give you that life, but you've got to action all of those and have a go at it. Will you take the opportunity? There's not a person on this planet, and you can talk as much bullshit as you want. I won't go back to Earth. Once I'm done, I'm done. You'd say, you know what? Send me back. I'm going to actually have a crack at life. That's what you should. You should be.
You take action.
Every single day. Take action and cause the reactions you want. You're worth it. That's what I'd say to yourself. And if I can, you can.
I can, you can. I love that. I can't wait for this. And is for your YouTube channel to be coming out, or is it out?
No, it's out. So that was something I did last year. I had a good friend, Spanian, we grew up around. When I say good friend,
I think I saw that.
More within the environment of us. He's not. I wouldn't say he's a good friend. I'd just say to me, anyone that's a good person. And when I say that, having a go at life, being good to other people. He went out and did that, right? And he travelled the world, and it inspired me to say, hey, I'm travelling the world. I should be filming this as well.
You should.
And we've started that channel up, and I've done a series where If I Can, You Can. I'm taking you back to old moments in my life that were, I said to myself, oh, I don't mind growing up in this area. It's great, we're connected. But then we were disrespecting each other, gossiping about each other. So what was I really enjoying that area? And then what was the lesson that became a blessing from that story? And you've got to get out of, well, I didn't grow up in an area like that, so I won't learn anything off you. In the end, human behaviour is human behaviour, and it doesn't matter whether you're in jail, whether you're in life, can be on a warfield, in jail, in a business boardroom, it could be anywhere, right? On a
Yeah.
sporting field. Lessons become blessings when you come with the intention to listen and learn. And once you do that, I can guarantee that your spirit of knowledge will forever walk this planet until the end of time, which means you teach your kids, Christina, they teach their kids,
Yeah.
and your spirit, like
Legacy.
100 years later, continues to walk. And my grandmother taught me that, and I'm going to leave that with you to be able to do that for yourselves, for you,
Oh,
by you.
that's a beautiful way to end. Your spirit will forever be walking this earth. And so you need to keep in mind and at the forefront of what you're putting out there. And are your words kind, or are your thoughts kind, people? Let's take a step back and just go, do you really need to care what they're wearing or what they're doing? Or, people have different filters, but your spirit will forever walk this earth. So you always, if you do this with intention, if you do it with a direction, then you can create the life you want. And you don't have to do it on your own is the biggest message here. There are people out there like Jeff who are here to help you to open up your mind, to get rid of your mind viruses and those bugs that are there that you don't even realize you're being controlled by, and to actually put you on a trajectory you have never even thought could be possible. And imagine if you can get from your A to B, but you can do it in 7 years over 70, just imagine what else is open. And like the possibilities, people, instead of thinking negative, think positive. Like, go everything you say that's negative. My recommendation to anyone listening would be, if you just say, oh, that sounds too hard, just if you change the narrative and gone, I wonder how I would do that.
That.
Just change the narrative every time, and catch yourself. Every negative, catch yourself. Change the narrative of gone, what would the steps be to do this? Who would I need to meet to do this? And if you start asking yourself these questions, then your narrative of what you're putting out there, then all of a sudden, hey, Jeff comes into your feed on social media, and you're like, oh, it's
Love
it's
that.
amazing.
Absolutely love it. And today, as an example, the rocking chair moment, the bug within the system. What is your bug? It's now a question I ask other people. We ask it in a different way, but I'd actually ask, what's the bugs within your system? And it's something I'd take out so everyone's clear. We all learn off somebody, and we can
Yeah,
add more value to somebody else. And when I leave, people won't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And
yeah.
if I can make them feel a specific way because I've plugged in something of value that they can then plug in as part of their human, then they become a better human, and that's how we make the
Yeah,
world a better
if there's one upgrade in their system you can do, even if you're not
place.
helping the full thing, if we do one
Totally.
upgrade in their system, that's progress to the next step, and then you might do another upgrade until they're ready to completely transform
Love
and
that. Take
love it.
that. There's another one I just said, and like they're all great tools that I could implement into my business, and no doubt will at points of time in conversation now to see it differently. And they're such simple words. You're like, why didn't you answer? Why don't you ask those questions, Jeff, already? And well, maybe I didn't, and that's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay. Not to be where you think, if I compare myself to where Tony Robbins is, and I'm going
yeah.
down the same, funnily enough, we had the same mentor, Jim Rohn.
Ah,
In general, the biggest
really?
thing,
Wow.
like you look at the space in between where I am and where he is, it's far in between. If I look at that, I'm like, I just didn't get as much out of Jim as he did, or see, like it's crazy. Rather than say I'm on a great journey and I learned as much as I could from Jim, took plenty, Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, these old school people, and then plugged them into myself. And same new school people, Christina today and I have exchanged knowledge that we can, get to a position where she's now better going into business opportunities. Said that's a great way of putting it. But before earlier on about her being in Dubai and providing that example, what if we could do that on a regular basis? And we can. You just got to surrender and listen and learn, as my grandmother said, and
Forever your
forever
spirit
your
will walk
spirit.
there.
And sometimes not even through me. What I passed on, Christina might teach to her partner, her kids, her circle. And wow, that's a great way of looking at it. I'm going to plug that in, and that goes to her kids, her family, and generations upon generations later. That lesson still becomes a blessing within our life. You look at quotes that have been said from the Roman Empire, they're still being used as an example because it made somebody feel a specific way. They wrote it down, they've passed it on, and now we plug it into our lives. Plug the value into your life and watch what happens with your life. It'll be of absolutely.
Yes.
Be that person.
Yeah. Oh,
You
mate, there's
make
so much I need to do in my life as well. I love this. Thank you. I'm going to say thank you. So thank you so much, Jeff. I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. As I said, I think there'll be part 2, 3, and 4 in different. We could go down different rabbit holes.
anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you. You are a total blessing to this world. You are changing people's lives, and you're changing more than you even ever would realize. So it's the people that are just listening now, and they do take just a little piece away, and you actually have pivoted them just off one path of going, oh, hang on, maybe I can get out of this shitty situation. Maybe I can change myself. So for that, I am forever, ever grateful. And I hope that your mission of creating better, building better humans is just so beautiful. And it's that human connection. So thank you for all you do.
Thanks for your time. Your mentality creates a better reality. People
Live
get out there
life.
and live life and put life
Yes.
into your life.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me.